मेरे प्यारे सत्संगत जी, वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु ji ki fateh. Well, it's always with a great honor and a great privilege in the presence of our City Guru Granth Sahib to be able to be with you here today, just to share with you as men, as human beings, just to have an understanding and a depth of who you are within your own self. Our Guru teaches us very simple teachings, very simple. And the simplicity of that teaching, which Guru has gifted us with, is just how to be yourself. Because if you're not yourself, then who are you? Khalsa is an identity of spirit, of strength, of commitment, of devotion and compassion, that comes from an inner understanding within you as to who you are in this life. Guruji talks about the two understandings of living, Manmukh and Gurmukh. What is the difference? Manmukh falls into that pit of Maya, of illusion, of doubt, insecurity. And when we fall into that within our own minds, today we're talking about the mind, Gurmukh, its relationship to Sikhi, that when the mind falls into that pattern of self-doubt, of fears and inner securities, and those insecurities become that which determines our progress in life, then we have to do what's called compensate. We compensate for our existence. Compensate means that we then have to prove something, either to ourselves, or we have to prove something to somebody else, but we don't feel within ourselves to be whole, to be complete and to be full. Guru teaches us that we were born in that completion. We're born in that fullness, that every human being is born with a birthright to happiness and a birthright to abundance. But our mind itself becomes very cluttered. Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the founder of our Sikh faith, first he said in Japji Sahib, he began with Mul Mantra, correct? Ek Onkar Satnam Kartapurk Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murad Ajuni Saiban Guru Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach Hebi Sach Nanak Hosi Be Sach. So in the beginning of Japji Sahib, in the beginning of our Guru Granth Sahib, he said, this is your mul, this is your root. Mul means root. Mul Mantra. Mantra means that which is repeated for experience. So he said, this is your root. That we understood. But then he set us very straight in the first party of Japji Sahib. That's where he set the mind straight. He said, now we're going to you know what your root is. We got 40 more. But then he set us very straight in the first party of Japji Sahib. That's where he set the mind straight. He said, now we're going to you know what your root is. We got 40 more parties to go. But this first one, now I'm going to tell you exactly where this mind is. And what did he say? Socha soch na hovi, just sochi lakavar. 1,000 thoughts come to you. Thousands of thoughts. But understand, he said, not one of those thoughts is real. Not one of those thoughts is you. So what did Guru Nanak Dev Ji say to us? He said, you think. Ready? You're listening? Are we awake? Are we alert? You think, but you don't think, but you think you do, but you don't. Can you think about that one? No. You think, but you don't think, but you think you do, but you don't. He said that will never get you anywhere. Thousands of thoughts can come, not one will hold any cleverness for you. So right there he said it very straight right at the beginning. Get it straight, folks. You think, but you don't, but you think you do, but I'm telling you, you don't. So let the rest what? Flow. So then let it flow. That's the process of Nam Simran Nam Japo, Shabad, Bani. Is to let it flow within you, not become an obstacle within you, not become a duty, not just a routine, but that it's experienced and felt. You have to understand Guru Nanak Dev Ji changed, revolutionized, we'll call it religion, revolutionized the religious practices of this world. Before Guru Nanak Dev Ji, teachers said, and great spiritual teachers said, that God is outside of you. And you have to go and look for God outside of you. Somebody else has to represent that God to you. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, nay. He said, God lives inside of you, and you are that living experience of God. He revolutionized, he changed it. He said, God is inside of you, and that is the experience. You don't have to look outside. You're going to find a God in a heaven, or you're going to find a God in a church. He said, God is you. And that when this mind holds the consciousness of a Gurumukh, what is a Gurumukh? Gurumukh is simply to see the light that lives in the heart of every soul. That's all. That through these eyes, you see the light of the heart of every soul. Because if you don't see God in all, Guru said you don't see God at all. Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught us that everyone is that living God, so therefore respect everyone. Remember that his teachings were the first teachings that gave equality, no matter gender, caste, color, race, creed, or preference. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji stamped it as Khalsa. Khalsa has no gender. Khalsa has no caste. Khalsa has no color. And that everything that was given to us was to remind this mind that it's through that devotion of understanding that one holds that within themselves, that as Sangat, as congregation, as Satsangat in the presence of Sri Guru Granth Sahib is magnified. So the experience within ourselves becomes magnified. And that's the uniqueness of what we represent as Khalsa. Khalsa is unique. So Gurumukh is that which holds that uniqueness of understanding and can create in the calmness of the mind the relationship between self and God and self and Guru to see the light that lives in the heart of every soul. So that one can open a clear channel of success and prosperity. I know your ways, I know your families, I know many of your parents and grandparents. And oftentimes all I heard for so many years was, oh, my son is doing this in university, my daughter's doing that, they had A in this and they had A plus in that, and one was mad at me, oh, she only got a B. I heard that story, somebody was complaining. And I thought to myself, I said, but what did they get in spirituality? Did they get an A in Gurmat? Did they get an A in Guru Granth Sahib Ji? Did they get an A in Sikhi? Are we just, our value system is only what university can go to? And then I came to understand that every parent wants his son to be either doctor, lawyer, accountant, or engineer, secondary. You know? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have superior good education, but did we get educated in our devotion? Did we get educated in this mind of ours and how to create a stillness? Because it's only through the stillness of this mind that we grow in our vastness of our consciousness. And I came to understand that Guru doesn't teach a religion, that Sikhi is not a religion, that it's a way of living, it's a way of life. Because mind, we think sometimes the mind controls everything, right? We believe in our own mind that mind is in control of everything. How many of you get headaches? Some. How many of you are a headache? You know? Why do we get a headache? Because mind is trying to figure everything out. No, I can figure it out. My mind will figure it out. Does it work? No, you end up in hot water. Because the belief is that mind is everything. Guru says mind is nothing if it doesn't meet at the heart and resonate at the soul. That through our devotional practice in spirit, through that being able to have that clarity of mind, clarity of consciousness, that is what Gurbani does. I've been meditating in meditation 45 years. You should have seen me 45 years ago. 45 years since I started consciously meditation. 30 plus years Nam Simran Nam Jap. I'll never miss one day in 35 plus years. 45 years total. So I was about a year old when I started, right? Why? Because very young, I started at the age of 14. Because I knew something inside of me said this mind has to be under some control, not just let loose. And that if I couldn't find a stillness within my own self to process that which was coming at me at life, then I would not survive this life. Because my mind was so active, my body was so energetic. Still today, I have so much energy, right? But there was something inside, I don't know, a God, maybe Guru was there at that time, I don't know, that said, if you don't settle this mind of yours down, you will not survive. And that's why I started. And you have to remember back then, it's not like today you look, yoga centers every corner, Gurdwara, every 3 corners now is a Gurdwara, right? But in those days, those things didn't exist here in Canada. And when I started to meditate, they said, well, you should just use this sound, but just do it inside of yourself. It was a secret mantra. Then I found 2 million people, 5 million people had the same secret mantra. I said, why is it secret? I don't know. You know. And somebody said, no, you should just close your eyes and meditate on white space. I said, white space? My brain is going a zillion space. I see a million colors of the spectrum. You want me, I should meditate on white space? I said, can't do it. But when I came into the presence of Guru Granth, when I heard Vaheguru, 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 and we kept reciting Vaheguru, Vaheguru, it was the funniest thing when I first came to see Sikhi. The Sangat was going, why Guru, right? And my mind is saying, why not Guru? Right? Because English mind was hearing, why Guru, why Guru? I said, what, are they doubting something? And somebody said to me, why, hey Guru? I said, well, okay, that I understand. Right? You ever hear why Guru, and then you wonder in your mind, why Guru? Well, why not? It's a beautiful thing. By the English mind, right? I didn't know the words. We know the words. We don't think that aside, right? But English mind was saying, why are they questioning? I thought it was supposed to be devotional people. Somebody told me. And then they said, no, it's why, hey, Guru. I said, so why don't you check? And then I knew it was, why, hey, you, Guru, wake up. That was my call. Hey, why, hey. And it was pointing at me. Why, hey. Hey, you, Guru, wake up. That was my call. I said, why, Guru isn't just meditate. It's a call for me to wake up. Hey, why, hey, you. Guru, right? Right? Is all how this mind of ours interprets that process within ourselves, right? What is this mind of ours? We have 3 basic minds. One is called a negative mind, one is called a positive mind, and one is called the neutral mind, right? And if you create like a triangle, you see that on this side is negative mind, this side is positive mind, and the center of that triangle is the neutral mind. So let's look just basic, this is just basic 101 stuff, right? Let us look at what is the negative mind. Does anybody know somebody that's negative in their lives? I don't need to know about your mom and dad. But we know some people who are negative in our lives. Do you want to be around a negative person? Who? I don't. You pick up the vibe of the negative person, you become negative, right? Negative mind goes into the psyche. So the negative mind says things like, I can't, I couldn't, I wouldn't. Where does that come in time? The past, right? I can't, I couldn't. So sometimes that negative mind is because of our past. Maybe we feel things of our past, we're unhappy something. So then we try to balance it by going to the positive mind. And the positive mind says things like, yeah, but if I just got up in the morning, did my cold shower, and read my body, everything would be good. If I just had the right job, if I just made enough money. So if the negative mind is the past, I couldn't, I wouldn't. The positive mind is, if I just won the lottery, I'd have no money problems. What in time is the positive mind then? The future, right. And if you watch your own mind, oftentimes you go from negative to positive. Well, if I just did that, well, then, but I can't do that because, but the end. And in psychology, if you study psychology, the term is called monkey mind. The mind becomes like a monkey. It jumps. I can't, I couldn't, I wouldn't, but if I just did, I might, but then I couldn't. And you're just hearing it, you go, oh, you know. So if the negative mind is that positive, the negative mind is the past, and the positive mind is our future, and we saw that triangle, and the top is that neutral mind, then what is the neutral mind? What time is that? Present, right. And what's a present? Is a gift, is it not? So the negative mind said, can't get rid of it. It's a warning system. It gives us some information. Positive mind, hey, that's okay. We want to project a future, right? But neither of those minds are balanced. The balanced mind is that neutral mind. The neutral mind doesn't mean, now I'm a robot, I'm just neutral, right? The neutral mind looks at the negative, looks at the positive, and then in the calmness of the being relates to the intuition. There's 3 steps in what we call applied intelligence. The first is to comprehend, the second is to compare, and the third is to intuit. So everything is taken then to this intuitive consciousness, the intuitive mind, and then that decision is carried. So how do we develop that intuitive mind, that neutral mind? And that is the power of Nam Simran. Because Nam Simran creates the balance within ourselves to be able to relax, to have that flow through us, and that whatever answer is there is already given to us. It already exists for us. When we sit in the presence of Siddhi Guru Granth, everything we want is at our feet. Guru Arjan Dev Ji wrote in Sukhmani Sahib. He said, everything you want is there. Every gem, every jewel, every ruby, everything is in front, every diamond. But he said, instead we only look at that pebble and pick that up only. We don't see what is before us. Because this mind wants to confuse it. Did Guru Gobind Singh Ji just decide one day, well, let's take up all their time of the day, we'll give them Panj Baniya, 5 hymns they should recite, and just to tie up their day, right? I don't think so. He gave that which you recite in the morning, in that Amrit Vela. Doesn't say Japji Sahib Amrit Vela Sachinavadi Hai Vichar Karmi Ave Kapra Nadiri Moktuar. That when you wake and rise in that Amrit Vela, that time when it's most quiet, when that nectar of being exists, and the sun is at that 60-degree angle, and is the most time that you and your soul can have that conversation. He said, what is that conversation? Is Japji. The call of the soul, the friend of the soul is the Japji. And then one has that doubt or fear of that day, Jap Sahib. Every fear will be taken. You won't have one thing you have to worry. No fear can exist to those who recite the Jap Sahib. And when one feels they just need to open their heart and have the heart guide their day, what do they read? Anand Sahib. And all that's included. Song of bliss. Why should be any unhappiness? And when that sun is at that 60-degree angle again between 4 and 6 p.m., because that sun is at that angle at 4 and 6 a.m., and then is that angle at 4 and 6 p.m., what happens between 4 and 6 p.m.? We all run to the corner store and buy chocolate bars, right? Between 4 and 6 p.m., that urge comes into us. What do we eat? Chocolates, cake, Slurpees, right? I know you guys. Laddu, chum-chum, all those things, right? Because at that time, our body is regenerating to try to carry us into the next part. That sun is coming at that angle. And goes and read the Vedas.